If you want to generate wealth in a way that's easy, I'm going to show you how you can do that. I'm going to talk about two truths today. That's right, two truths. And one, once you discover how you can use that truth, it will help you generate wealth easily. Yeah, it'll take you put into practice what you've learned there, but that's what's possible. I thought I'd start with a story about a truth that was discovered through the use of imagination. Why am I talking about imagination? Well, in his book called Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash, he wrote this on page 14. In fact, he had a page about imagination. And here's why. And I'm just going to read what he wrote. It said, the infinite banking concept is an exercise in imagination, reason, logic, and prophecy. And he put a quote in there. It's kind of a key quote. It's by Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein had said, imagination is more important than knowledge. So this first story that I'm going to talk about is about a young man and how he used that imagination to discover a universal truth that no matter what you think about it, it's still the truth. So let's talk about that story. I'm going to take you all the way back to the 1700s. And this took place in Germany, and it was at a school. And back in those days, they called the school teacher the schoolmaster. And on this particular day, this schoolmaster had a bunch of 7-year-olds in his class. And they were, to say the least, a bit rowdy. So the old schoolmaster goes, okay, I'm gonna get these boys and girls to settle down and put them to work. That'll fix them. And he gave them a problem to solve. So he thought, if I give them this problem, that'll keep them busy and keep them quiet. So he asked them to take and add up all the numbers between 1 and 100. So if you can just imagine that, I just, got that picture in my mind of what it would look like. The boys and girls took out their slates and they started to work. And they start diligently working away. I can just imagine myself there. I'm going, okay, 1 plus 2 is 3. And then I got to add, 3 to that, so that's 6. And then I got to add 4 to it, it's 10. So that's how I can just see most of them working away diligently on their slates. And the schoolmaster, he's feeling pretty good about himself because he got this class to settle down and everybody working away. And yet he notices one boy. And that boy's sitting back in the room and he's kind of looking out the window, kind of distracted and just daydreaming. And wonder if the schoolmaster thought, what's he daydreaming about? But he sits there and he's got that, look of imagination on his face and as he looks out the window. And eventually, he takes his slate and he writes down a number. He walks up to the front and hands his slate to the schoolmaster. And the part that astonished the schoolmaster is that the answer was correct. And in fact, out of all of the children in that classroom, he was the only one that got it right. Naturally, that intrigued the schoolmaster. So he asked the young man, well, how did you get to your answer? And the little boy, because he's only 7, he just explained it. He took 1 to 50 in his mind, and then he took 51 to 100, and he just put them beside each other. So 1 lined up with 100, 2 lined up with 99, 3 lined up with 98, and what he realized that every one of those would equal 101. Every one of those lines would equal 101. And then he simply multiplied 101 times 50 is equal to 5,050. And that's the right answer. This young man was Carl Gauss, and he was one of the 3 best mathematicians of his time. That's what he developed in over time. He became just a world-renowned mathematician. And he's the one that discovered this through imagination. And so what did Nelson write about this particular subject and story? Young Gauss did not invent the fact. He discovered it. And he discovered what God had already done. He discovered a relationship between numbers that is fixed and nothing can be done to change it. That's right. Nothing can be done to change that. So if you take this, what Carl discovered, and you can take 1,000. You can do the same thing with 1,000. You just do the same piece. You put, obviously 1 beside 1,000, that's 1,001. And you got to times it by 500, not 50 anymore, because 500 would be halfway. Well, you can do that, apply that to any number of hundreds, and it works every time. And it will work, because it's a relationship between numbers that can't be changed. So even if you didn't realize it or didn't understand that, that's what he discovered through imagination. And so one of the things I'm going to ask you to do is just think about, there is things that are universal truths that you may not even know. Maybe you haven't understood them or haven't thought. So today, I wanted to show you and talk about one other truth that you may or may not know. And if you don't know it, then I'm going to teach you a way that you can change things that will help you grow your wealth in an easy way. So let's go on and talk about what that truth is. You finance everything you buy. That's right. It's as simple as that. Most people don't even think about that. They don't think about the fact that they finance everything they buy. And you might be thinking, okay, Dan, well, what do you mean by that? Well, when you think about it, because it's the truth, you either pay interest to someone else or you give up the interest you could have earned. And that's the truth. Now, when we finance things, the way that we are taught to finance things in our world, that's what we do. There are no exceptions. That's the reality. That's the truth. There's just no exceptions. And whether you realize it or not, I'm telling you, there's no exceptions. And what I wanted to show you today was just a simple little chart here. And it's about the debtor and the saver. Now, most of us are familiar with the old debtor. That's when we go and purchase something through using someone else's money. So we pay someone else for the use of their money. So we take a loan. And I don't care what we're borrowing the money for here. You take and borrow the money. And most people are pretty much aware of the fact that when they do that, there's going to be an interest cost that they pay as they pay the debt back. And I don't care over what period of time you pay that debt, most of the time, a person's aware that there's interest as part of their payment. Now, some people just focus on what's my payment, don't care about the interest, but I'm telling you, it's there. And then there's always that group that says, okay, Dan, well, what about that car financing deal I got where it was 0%? I paid 0% interest on that vehicle I bought. And I go, really? You think you bought that car with 0% interest? Tell me, is that car company in business to make money or to give money away? Or do they not understand the value of money, or have they factored it into the price of the car? And I think if you really study it, that's what you'll find. They factored the cost of interest into the price. So maybe you're saying, yeah, I'm not paying no interest for that car. But trust me, that cost has been factored in there. So when people borrow money, they typically understand there's an interest portion that they have to pay back. Now, so that group is pretty good. As a rule, they understand that they're paying interest. But the other group that may not realize that there's an interest cost to what they're doing is the saver. Now, you may have done this. I have. I've saved up my money for whatever it was I was going to buy. And then when I got that amount of money saved up, I purchased whatever that object or service or product was, and bang, then my bank account went back to zero because I spent what I'd saved up. And to me, or that particular person, it looks like, okay, there was no interest cost. But the interest cost is related to the fact that you cut this growth off right here. There's a cutoff right here. As soon as you use that cash, it was gone. It stopped growing. It was going like this. Could have kept going. But no, you cut it off. And then you're back to starting over. And again, you can build up that same pile of money. But as soon as you spend it, as a saver, bang, it gets cut off. The growth of it gets cut off. So that's the truth that I want you to understand, that you're either paying interest to use someone else's money or you're giving up the interest you could earn. So that's a universal truth. And there is no doubt about it. That's just the way it goes. And so I just wanted you to understand that fact. That's a truth. You either pay interest or you give up interest you could earn. So what should you do based on the truth that we just spoke about? Well, I'm going to give you an idea what you could do about that. And it's as simply as be a saver who doesn't interrupt the growth of your money while you use it. That's right. That's what you can do. Be a saver who doesn't interrupt the growth of your money as you use it. So instead of, saving up, chopping it off, save it up and keep it growing. Don't stop the growth of it. And you say, well, how could I do that? Well, that's what I'm going to speak to you about. If you don't know about the infinite banking concept, I want you to go to watchibc.com. That's right, watchibc.com. It's a 90-minute video that you can take in when you have time, and it teaches you how that concept works, where you can be a saver, utilize your money, and not interrupt its growth. So that's what I want you to think about. Taking in that 90 minutes, if you don't know about this concept, that's an opportunity you have. Because if you want to generate wealth the easy way, that's how you do it. You save and you use without interrupting the growth of your money. And it's doable. I do it all the time. Now, the thing about paying interest to someone else or giving up interest, the truth about it all is that both methods are permanent transfer of money away from you or your business. So when you learn about the infinite banking concept, you learn how to get that money flowing towards you and not away from you towards someone else. And so you don't want to have those permanent transfers of money away from you. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to take in. And what does it look like? Well, I'm going to give you a real high-level look at what it would look like. And to do that, we're just going to use this simple little illustration here. So here is where you start to save money. You can see over here, you start putting your money away. And, the more you put away, the better off you are. But you could be putting money away for a while, and you could stop. And with the infinite banking concept, if you stop after a while, your money will continue to grow. It doesn't stop. Right from day one, when you start to build your capital, because that's what you're doing, you want to build a reservoir of capital that you can access. You build it the way that we teach here in Canada through the infinite banking concept. You don't ever interrupt its growth. That's right, you don't ever interrupt its growth. And yet you can use it. So you would use it, and we'll just go here to where this person has built up enough capital in their system and they want to buy something. Now you could do it back here, but you just don't have enough equity built up yet to purchase the size of this, whatever product is this person was illustrating here. But here's a good way to look at it. After a while, you get enough capital. That's right, you're capitalizing in your own system so that you can utilize it. And when you take a loan right here, because that's the way we teach people. We teach them to take a loan using their capital as collateral, so they don't stop the growth of their capital at all with the infinite banking concept here in Canada. You don't stop that growth, but you take a loan against that collateral, and it keeps on growing even while you're using it. So as you're using it, as you can see here, as your money's out during this period of time, it keeps on growing. That's how to be a saver where you don't interrupt the growth of your money while you use it. And this is at a high level. This is the infinite banking concept here that we teach in Canada. This is what you do. And when you get to this place where you can finance all the things that you need in life, and where your money doesn't stop growing because you haven't interrupted its growth, that's where you get to growing wealth the easy way. And trust me, there's no better way to grow wealth than utilizing this method. And I say it from a place of authenticity because I do it all the time. I get to see how this works in my life. And my wish for you would be that you take the time to learn about it so that you can do the same. Again, we go back and we think about these two. And yeah, this is the way we've been taught to do it, one way or the other. But the reality is, again, you finance everything you buy. And because of that, you're either paying interest to someone else or you're giving up interest that you could earn. So be the wealth creator or saver in a way that your money never gets interrupted. That, to me, is the key thing, that if you can learn about the truth that you finance everything you buy, and there's no exceptions, and yet there's a way to take that knowledge and make a difference, because you can build capital through the infinite banking concept in a way that you never interrupt the growth of the money that you're saving and where you have control. So it's never, this infinite banking concept is not about an investment. It's about a place to warehouse your money where you're the saver and it gets uninterrupted growth and you get control. So if you really want to learn how to generate wealth easily, I'm telling you, you need to learn about the infinite banking concept. Now, we have a lot of great videos on our channel, and I'm going to encourage you just to go and watch some of those videos. There's lots of great content on how this concept works, what the platform is that we use to warehouse our money. It's all there. And again, I'm going to encourage you, if you don't know about this, go to watchibc.com.